Living with type 1 diabetes means I have to be very careful with my daily routine. One of the hardest parts is feeling extremely thirsty all the time. There have been so many times when I was out for a walk and suddenly had to rush home or find a vending machine just to get some water. Last August, my family and I were heading to Dubai for vacation. We have a timeshare there that we've been using for years. We arrived at the airport and went through the usual check-in process before making our way to the TSA checkpoint. Since I'm well aware of liquid restrictions, I had prepared accordingly. I can legally bring either a frozen water bottle or empty bottles to fill up later. I decided to take one frozen bottle and two empty ones to be safe. When I was about to send my frozen bottle through the scanner, I heard a young voice behind me. The kid was complaining to his mother about being hot. I didn't pay much attention until I heard him again, this time asking his mother if he could have my water bottle. I looked over my shoulder and saw a kid who looked about 6 or 7 years old pointing at my frozen water bottle. His mother was completely absorbed in her phone, ignoring him. The kid called out to his mother louder this time and she dismissively told him to figure it out himself. Before I could react, the kid walked right up to me and snatched the frozen bottle straight out of my hands. I protested, saying he couldn't take my stuff. The kid rudely responded that finders keepers applied, even though I pointed out that I had brought it from home. I reached out to reclaim my water bottle, but the kid darted back to his mother, who was still engrossed in her phone. He lied to his mother, claiming that I had tried to take his water. That finally got her attention. She looked up with that classic entitled expression I've seen too many times on social media. She pushed past everyone in line and stormed toward me. She scolded me, telling me not to take her son's water. I tried to explain that it was my water bottle and that I had type 1 diabetes, but she cut me off. She shouted that she didn't care what I was and accused me of taking her son's water. Her son agreed with her and she told him to shut up. By this point, we were causing enough commotion that a TSA agent came over to intervene. The agent warned the mother that she was causing a disturbance and would need to stop or the matter would be escalated. I was getting increasingly upset because if my water bottle melted completely, TSA would confiscate it and I wouldn't be allowed to take it through security. The mother continued to yell, insisting that I had taken her son's water bottle. I explained to the TSA agent about my type 1 diabetes and frequent thirst. The mother accused me of lying in front of her son and claimed it set a bad example. The TSA agent gave her one final warning before calling airport security. The entitled mother declared she would just take the bottle herself. She lunged forward with surprising force, grabbing the bottle from the TSA agent's hands and stormed back to her place in line. The TSA agent apologized to me and promised to get my water bottle back. The agent immediately radioed for security. Within minutes, two security officers arrived and approached the woman. One of them attempted to retrieve my water bottle. The mother shouted at the security officers to get off her, using offensive language. Then, in what can only be described as a moment of pure madness, she tried to make a run for it. She got about 10 feet before the security officers used their tasers on her. Her son started screaming and several people had to quickly move out of the way to avoid the commotion. I watched as the entitled mother was dragged off to a room about 30 or 40 feet away. Her son was escorted to the same room by another security officer. In the chaos, the security officers had taken my water bottle, which I was supposed to give back. The TSA agent asked me to step aside until my belongings were returned, assuring me it shouldn't take long. Shouldn't be long turned into 25 to 30 minutes of waiting. By the time they returned my bottle, it had started to melt. When I finally went through the security line, TSA had to confiscate my bottle due to their liquid restrictions. I was absolutely fuming. The entire ordeal had cost me 45 minutes, and my plane was now departing in just 30 minutes. I was thirsty, stressed, and rushing to make my flight. When I was gathering my things after security, a stranger approached me. He told me that he had witnessed the whole situation with the crazy woman and had gotten me another bottle of water. I was so thirsty that I downed the entire bottle in about 3 seconds flat, just like one of those YouTube challenges. Later I learned from an airport employee that the entitled mother had been detained for several hours and missed her flight. She was also banned from the airport for 6 months and had to pay a fine for assaulting airport personnel. Her son was temporarily placed with another family member who had to fly in from out of state. As for me, I managed to make my flight with just minutes to spare, and our vacation in Dubai was wonderful, completely entitled mother-free. Everyone on campus knows me for parkour. I never planned it that way, it just happened. When I started practicing as a freshman, people would stop to watch. By my second year, I had a reputation as the parkour guy. Now at 20, I've been doing parkour for almost 7 years. It started when I was 13 after watching some YouTube videos and thinking it looked cool. What began as awkward jumps between park benches evolved into a serious passion. I joined a local parkour gym, started competing regionally, and even placed in a few national events. College was actually a perfect place to train. The architecture around campus offered endless possibilities: low walls, railings, concrete structures with various levels. Most students were cool about it. Some would watch, others would wave, and occasionally someone would ask a question or two before moving on. Last week, though, I had my first truly negative experience. It was one of those perfect spring days, about 70 degrees with clear skies, perfect training weather. I decided to skip the gym and practice outside on the yard, which is what everyone calls a main campus quad. I was about 20 minutes into my routine working on a precision jump between two concrete blocks when this guy approached me. I'd seen him around campus before but never talked to him. He walked right up to me with this smirk on his face. He mockingly asked what kind of ninja nonsense I was doing. I politely explained that it was parkour, a French movement art that was beneficial for the body. He seemed interested and asked how long I'd been practicing. When I told him almost 7 years, his demeanor changed. He didn't ask if I would train him. He stated it as if it was already decided. I explained that I don't usually train people and mentioned my upcoming competitions as a reason why I wouldn't have time. His reaction was immediate and disrespectful. He dismissed the importance of my competitions and reduced parkour to just flipping and jumping off of stuff. This kind of disrespect is something every serious practitioner hates hearing. It's deeply insulting to have your discipline trivialized like that. I told him that someone who couldn't respect parkour as an art form didn't deserve to be part of the community. Then I grabbed my bag and left to get something to eat. I was too annoyed to continue training anyway. A few days went by and I didn't think much about the interaction. Just some entitled guy who didn't understand boundaries. No big deal. Then my phone started blowing up with notifications. Somehow this guy had found all my social media accounts, my Instagram, my TikTok, even my personal Facebook. He was commenting on everything, sending DMS, and even texting me. I still don't know how he got my number. His messages were wild. He insisted that I was obligated to train him and that he deserved it. He accused me of being afraid that he would surpass my skill level. He argued that since I trained on campus property, I should train anyone who asked. He even offered an insultingly low amount of $20 for 2 hours of training. After about 30 messages, I finally responded. I told him I would never train him because of his entitled attitude, disrespect toward parkour, rudeness, and obnoxious behavior. I asked him to stop contacting me. The next day I was training in a different area of campus, doing some simple vaults over a short wall. I didn't even notice him approaching until he was right next to me. He confronted me, asking if I was hiding from him and implying I was scared to train him. I repeated my refusal and asked him to leave me alone. He continued to belittle my skills, claiming he could master parkour in just a week. I ignored him and kept practicing. That's when he did something I never expected. He kicked me. Not just anywhere, but directly in my left knee. The same knee where I'd torn my anterior cruciate ligament a few years back. I always wear a brace when I train because of that injury. The pain was immediate and intense. I collapsed to the ground, grabbing my knee and worrying that I'd just lost another year to rehab. When I was on the ground in pain, he mocked my athletic abilities. What he didn't realize was that 2 campus security officers were walking by and saw the whole thing. Within seconds, they had him on the ground and were calling for backup. As they took him away, one officer stayed with me while we waited for medical help. He mentioned being a fan of parkour and having seen some of my videos online. He reassured me that the guy had been problematic all semester and would face it all. I later found out he was expelled for the assault. My knee was badly bruised, but thankfully, no new damage to the ligament. The university reached out and offered to cover my medical expenses, and I'm back to training already, though taking it a bit easier for now. People always say I have a baby face. Even after high school, strangers keep thinking I'm way younger than I really am. I also get a lot of people asking if we've met before, confusing me with someone else. I guess my face just looks familiar to everyone. I work at a home improvement store as a cashier. The pay is decent and my co-workers are friendly enough. My schedule can be hectic sometimes between work and college classes, but I manage to balance everything pretty well. This one day had been exhausting. I've been on my feet for hours, dealing with impatient customers and scanning countless items. By the time my lunch break rolled around, I realized I'd forgotten to pack anything to eat. Since there was a Walmart nearby, I decided to quickly stop by and grab something before heading back to work. I walked into the store still wearing my full work uniform, a teal shirt that clearly read Home Improvement Store Cashier Appreciation Month across the front, black slacks, black shoes, and a purple cap with the same store logo emblazoned on it. I was also carrying my black one-shoulder work bag, where I keep my work essentials and usually my lunch. After grabbing a sandwich, some chips, and a drink, I paid at the register and was heading toward the exit when a security guard stepped in front of me, blocking my path. The security guard questioned me about whether I had paid for everything in my bag. I responded by holding out my receipt, explaining that I had indeed paid and that he could verify this with the cashier who had just rung me up. He then expressed suspicion about the receipt's authenticity, suggesting it might be fake or from another store. I assured him that I had just finished paying and again suggested he could confirm this with the cashier. The security guard told me that there had been reports of thefts matching my description. I defended myself by explaining that I sometimes shopped there alone but usually came with my family and had never stolen anything. I added that today I was only stopping by to get lunch. His accusations escalated when he claimed I had been in the store the previous night. I was confused and told him I had been home all day yesterday. The situation grew tenser as he threatened to have me banned from the store if I continued to badmouth him. He demanded that I empty my bag and return items he believed I had stolen. I tried to maintain my composure, reiterating my innocence and offering to let him search my bag, explaining that I had just come from work to buy lunch. His patience apparently worn thin, the security guard accused me of repeatedly entering and exiting the store throughout the day with unpaid merchandise. He threatened to call the police and have management permanently ban me from the store. Despite my attempts to reason with him, he radioed for management and another security guard to come detain me. When they arrived, the first security guard immediately told them he had caught the shoplifter they were looking for. I quickly denied this, explaining I was just buying lunch for work and had a receipt to prove it. The manager asked to see my receipt, which I promptly handed over. The first security guard insisted it was fake, while the second security guard began checking the items in my bag against the receipt. After verifying everything, the manager confirmed that all items in my bag matched the receipt and instructed the first security guard to stop preventing me from leaving. The first guard continued his accusations, claiming he had seen me walking in and out of the store repeatedly both today and over the past few days. I pointed out the inconsistency in his story, noting that I had been either at home or in college the past few days and that my current attire, still in my work uniform, proved I couldn't have been coming in and out of the store all day. This caused the first security guard to pause before accusing me of changing my story, claiming I had admitted to being in the store all day but was now saying I had been at work. The second security guard corrected him, pointing out that those were the first guard's words, not mine, and that I had consistently maintained I hadn't been available to visit the store until now. The manager began questioning the first guard about why, if he had witnessed shoplifting all day, he hadn't reported it or intervened earlier. Before the guard could respond, a call came through on the radio about a disturbance at the back of the store. The manager took the first security guard with him to investigate while instructing the second guard to stay with me and hear my side of the story. When I finished explaining everything to the second security guard, I received a text from my father asking why I wasn't home yet. I called him briefly to explain the situation, and he told me he was coming to pick me up. While waiting, I saw the first security guard and the manager return with the actual shoplifter, a high school-age girl with a backpack full of electronics and other items, dressed in loose clothes and tan pants with a pink cap. Police cars arrived, presumably called when they caught her. After the manager and first security guard spoke with the police and the girl was taken away, the second security guard confirmed my account of events. When the first guard tried to leave quickly, the manager stopped him and made him apologize to me. The manager then assured me I was free to go and not banned from the store. As I exited, my father arrived. I told him everything had been resolved and he drove me home without asking many questions. A few days later, I returned to Walmart with my parents and noticed the first security guard was no longer there. I suspected he might have been fired for falsely accusing me and threatening me for a crime I didn't commit. The manager spotted me and approached to apologize again, explaining they had reviewed security footage that confirmed my innocence throughout the entire incident. What bothers me the most is how quickly that security guard was ready to accuse me without any evidence, even though I was clearly in a work uniform from a completely different store. How could I have been in and out all day while wearing the same uniform? Some people let even the smallest amount of authority go to their heads. A couple of years back, I was struggling to balance university with finances. My roommate threw me a lifeline when he mentioned they needed bar managers at the major sports stadium where he worked as a corporate dining manager. My roommate explained that the pay was decent and the shifts were short, perfect for a student like me. The job was straightforward: set up the bar, serve drinks, clean up, and go home. The bar was in a members-only section where people paid over $800 a year for privileges like shorter lines and real glassware. Most of my staff were international university students, particularly from India. There was one constant colleague I'll call assistant manager, who was essential to our operation. Since my roommate had hooked me up with this job, I was always happy to train newcomers who had never worked in a bar setting before. During one busy match day, shortly after the game started, assistant manager came over and told me we had a situation at Register 3. I found a young trainee looking uncomfortable while a middle-aged man in expensive team merchandise stood impatiently across the bar. The trainee whispered that the man had made fun of her accent when she was trying to explain she was still learning the register. The man complained that he just wanted a beer and questioned why that was so difficult. I explained to him that based on what my staff member had told me, he had made a comment mocking her accent. I suggested that since this wasn't normal behavior, he must be intoxicated. I told him I wouldn't serve him any more alcohol that night, though his friends could still buy one drink at a time. His face turned red instantly. He protested that this was ridiculous and asked if I knew how much he paid for his membership. He demanded to speak with my manager. After some back and forth, I asked assistant manager to find the corporate dining manager. The entitled member and his friends stood waiting, missing the game. Finally, my roommate arrived in his professional attire. After hearing both sides, my roommate supported my decision. He told the man that he had made inappropriate comments, and since he and his friends were still arguing, none of them would be served at the bar for the rest of the night. He warned that further issues would result in security escorting them out. The entitled member looked stunned. His friends started grumbling at him. After a moment, he asked where the nearest place was they could get beers. I gave him detailed directions to the concession stand 2 floors down. Their seats were on level 3, which meant every time they wanted a drink, they'd have to make that journey, fight through crowds, and climb back up, all while missing parts of the game. As they left, I noticed his friends were no longer standing close to him. I checked on my trainee, who thanked me for standing up for her. The entitled member and his friends didn't return to our bar that night. When my roommate and I got home, we laughed about our teamwork. I commented on the look on the man's face when he learned his friends couldn't drink either. My roommate observed that people who pay for premium experiences sometimes need reminding that premium doesn't mean permission to be awful. And he was right. No membership fee, no matter how high, buys you the right to disrespect others.